Hello, children. You're welcome to our coding class today. My name is Mr. Mark. In our coding class today, we're going to look at variable in programming. Variable in programming. We want to start off by knowing what a variable is. What is a variable? A variable is a storage container that holds data that can be modified or retrieved by your program. A variable is a storage container that holds data that can be modified or retrieved by your program. I want to use this container to illustrate what a variable is. A variable is here represented by this empty container. In this container, we can store different things such as salt, sugar, detergent, clip, and so many other things. I said a variable can be modified. Modification here means that we can change the content of the variable, which is the content of our storage container. And also, to modify can mean altering, changing not the content in its entirety, but changing some things in the content of the variable. I also said that a variable can be retrieved. To retrieve means that we can bring out the content of the variable in order for us to use them. In Scratch, variables can be used to store different types of data, such as numbers, strings, or boolean values, and any sprite in the project can access the variable depending on the level of privilege given to the variable. I mentioned three different data types. A number data type means all data made up of numbers, both decimal and non-decimal numbers. Examples 20, 30.5, etc. The second data type I mentioned is strings. A string data type means all data made up of alphabets. Examples names, gender, etc. And I also mentioned Boolean values. Boolean data type means data with two options. Examples, yes or no, true or false, etc. Now we're going to look at how to create a variable in Scratch 3. I'm going to be guiding you on step by step how to create a variable in Scratch 3. Step number 1, you click on the variable extension in Scratch 3 and it looks like the picture on the screen. Step number 2, you click on make a variable option which looks like the picture on the screen. Step number 3, you type your variable name. While typing your variable name, you use short name and select for all sprites, then click the OK button. In selecting for all sprites, you are given the privilege of all sprites to access your variable in your project. Step number 4, when you click on OK button as seen below, you are going to see your variable name on the sprite window and also on your code blocks. And when you see these two pictures, great! You have created a variable. Congratulations! After creating your variable, we then want to know how to use variables in programming using Scratch 3 as illustration. As earlier said, a variable is a storage container for data. In order to access data stored in a variable, we use the variable name to access data stored in it. And I have already shown us, as you can see in the picture, once you create a variable, you will see the variable name in a button, as you can see on the screen right now. Now we're going to use a program that I call greeting program to illustrate how variables can be used. Let us use a greeting program that call people's name and greet them to showcase how to access data stored in a variable. And these are the code blocks used in this program. First, we're going to use our when flag clicked, our ask, set variable, say, and join. These are the 5 code blocks that we're going to be needing. In the picture, you can see the 5 code blocks being used to create our program. Now we first use the ask code block to get the person's name after we might have brought out when flag clicked. The ask code block helps us to get the data that we want to store in a variable. Then we use the set code block to store the person's name on the variable already created. In order to access the name stored in the variable, we have to use the variable name. And then in the say and join code blocks combine, as you can see, they're combined together. We access the name variable and joined it with good morning greeting. This I'm going to illustrate in our Scratch 3 application. Here we have our Scratch 3 program open. And the first thing you do is to make your variable. Here we have the variable extension. You click on it, and here you have the make a variable button. You click on it. And here I'm going to name my variable name. When I type my variable name, I'll make sure that I check for all sprites and I click OK. Once I click OK, you can see on the sprite window, you can see the variable showing here, and on my code blocks, you can see the variable showing here too. And you can see 0 telling us that no data had been stored in a variable. So at this point, we have an empty container. Now let's go on to create our greeting program. To get when flag clicked, you click on event code block. You bring out when flag clicked. In order for us to get names of persons that we want to store in a variable, you go to your sensing extension and then we bring out ask code block. In the ask code block, we want to ask a question. What is your name? Here we have our question asked. Now, the question that is asked here, the answer provided is going to be stored in this answer code block. But we want to use a variable to store the answer that the person is going to provide. So we'll go back to our variable extension. I'll bring our set code block, we'll put it here. We select our name variable and we put the answer here. What this means is whenever we ask this question and an answer is provided, we want to set the answer to be stored in our name variable. We'll fix it this way. At this point, I want to test it before we continue. I'll run the program, and here you can see a space for us to type our name. I'll put Mark and I click this check box. And right here you can see that in our variable we have data stored in it, and that is mark. And if I give it a click, you can see mark telling us that our variable is no longer empty. Instead, we have mark stored in our variable, which is answer given to the question that we asked here. Now, the next code block that we want to use is we're going to our operators extension. We'll bring out join. And then we go to the looks. I will bring out say. We put say here. I'm going to delete this hello. I'll put the join. I'm going to delete apple, and I'm going to delete banana. I'll go back to the variables extension. I'll bring out my variable, and on the second space I'm going to put comma space, and then I type good morning. All right, so at this point our program is completed. And what this say does, it helps us to print out information. So we have joined our variable together with our greeting in order to give us what we want. So the name variable will be replaced by my name, Mark, followed by comma, and then the greeting. All right, let's try out this program. I'll click on the play button and I'll type Mark once again. I press enter key, and here you see Mark, good morning. All right, I'm going to put another name in case you think, because I have stored Mark before. So I play it again. Okay, let me type Jude. And here you can see Jude, good morning. So any name you provide, it's going to be stored in a variable, and we'll use the variable name here to access the data stored in the variable. Now I have a task for you. Use this task to demonstrate your understanding of variable in programming. You're going to create a good afternoon program. Use the code blocks listed below to create a program that will call your name and greet you good afternoon. Snap and send your task to the class platform when completed. The code blocks you need are when flag clicks, ask, set variable, say, and join. Thanks for joining the class. See you in the next class. Bye.